Welcome everybody to Saturday School, an awesome new format that Mark. Yeah, this is your opportunity to ask Mark Bell pretty much any question you have in mind. But let's be honest, if it sucks, it might not make it onto the show. However, what doesn't suck is Piedmontese beef. Somehow they have higher protein, less fat, cooks faster, tastes better than anything on the planet. Shout out to them. Thank you for sponsoring this episode. It's Piedmontese.com. It's Piedmontese.com at checkout. Enter promo code Power Project for 25% off your order. And if your order is $99 or more, you get free 2-day shipping. Also, Mark and I are currently drinking coffee during Saturday School. It's an awesome school that we allow coffee in class. But it's not just black coffee, because black coffee doesn't taste that great. So we add Perfect Keto's MCT oil powder. I myself prefer salted caramel. It's second to none. It's one of those things that tastes good right now to everybody, not necessarily somebody who's just on a ketogenic diet. Literally anybody on the planet can add this to their coffee. It'll be healthier coffee and it'll taste better. That's at perfectketo.com/power25 at checkout. Enter promo code Power Project for 25% off your order of any order of $29 or more. Again, thank you everybody for checking out Saturday School. If you guys have questions, please hit us up at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on Twitter, at Mark Smelly Bell, all over the damn place. We're easily accessible. If you have any questions, just yell at us. Hashtag Saturday School, all caps Saturday School, whatever it takes to get our attention, get it. And you guys will be able to have your question answered by the one and only Mark Bell. Now for today's session, I wanted to ask Mark, if you have one opportunity, one chance to watch any professional athlete in his or her prime, who would it be?
Let's see here. So I had an opportunity to see Jordan. So that was awesome. I would say, I've gone to like some UFC events and stuff and I got to see Bones Jones fight. I would say like probably Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, he transcended sport and he transcended race. He kind of flipped everything up, upside down. He did some really remarkable things, and, he ended up being, more than a boxer. And George Foreman has been quoted as kind of saying, he's not the greatest boxer. He thinks he might be the greatest fighter, the greatest person of all time beyond boxing. And other people might have other things to say about it, because no one lives a perfect life. No one gets out of this unscathed with a completely perfect record with no blemishes on your record. But when I have seen things about Muhammad Ali, and when I've seen the way that he changed the way that white Americans and other ethnicities, for that matter, were looking at African Americans, pretty unbelievable. And then also like the world shut down. Like right now we're in this like quarantine, and everyone's kind of watching Netflix, and there's no cars out on the street. From what I heard, when Muhammad Ali fought, when he fought like in Africa, and when he would fight in these other countries would put up millions of dollars to have him come and fight, because it would draw so much money. It was like worth it to them. And then it was like kind of these countries would fight, almost like the way kind of wealthy people will, where it's like, no, I got more money to throw at him. No, I got more money to throw at him. And so, there was a lot of that going on, but I admired also like his strategy. I'm a boxing fan. Grew up watching a lot of boxing as a kid. Loved watching Tyson. Loved watching the lighter weight classes as well, because they're just the quickness and the speed and the agility and the sweet science of boxing and the strategy that goes into it was always really cool to watch. But when Ali fought, George Foreman, I don't think people understand that George Foreman was like a complete wrecking machine. And he was a little bit like Tyson, where he was like an angry dude. Now, we're used to seeing the Foreman grill, and we're used to seeing big old George with a big old smile. And it's easy to have that big old smile because he's made it, and he's made millions and millions of dollars now. But when he was young, he was very hungry, and he was a brutal, brutal fighter. And the fighters that he fought, when he fought Ali, they were, these guys were in their prime, and Foreman knocked them out a lot easier than what Ali was able to do. Not only did he knock them out, I mean, a lot of times Ali would be pressed to go the distance with some of these guys that Foreman beat very, very easily, like Ken Norton and Joe Frazier. George Foreman just like beat the ever-living crap out of Joe Frazier. I think he knocked him down like 3 times in one round, and I don't think the fight went very long. I want to say it's like a 3 to 5 round fight or something like that. And then people know the story, people that are fans of boxing know that Ali and Joe Frazier had like wars in the ring. Like there was a really good matchup, smoking Joe Frazier, being a southpaw and being kind of having that peekaboo style where he stayed down real low, was a good matchup against Ali, who was jabbing from the outside and floating like a butterfly. But what Ali was able to do, inside the ring was phenomenal, but what he was able to do before you got in the ring was a real art form. The way that he was able to talk people out of victory, in a sense. Obviously, he had to do it with an in-ring performance that was stellar, right? Like he had to kick ass in the ring. Otherwise, it would have been all for naught, right? Like he would just get knocked out. But could you imagine somebody in the press, talking about you so much, and you're revved up and you're pissed off and you're going to get in the ring and you're going to tear this guy a new one, right? And you get in the ring and bam, 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 you nail him with all you got. And this is, a legendary thing from Ali that he said to Foreman. I think it was like in maybe like the 8th round or something. He said, "Is that all you got, George?" And Foreman was like, "Wow, man, like, he got me. Like that's all I got." It's all I got. And it hasn't phased him. It hasn't hurt him at all. And Ali talks about how it's such a beautiful thing to go on the ropes, and do the rope-a-dope and to allow Foreman to really wear himself down and basically just tire himself out because he's a power puncher. And what a brilliant thing. Like, hey, look, man, I'm not good enough to beat him anyway if I can't absorb some of his shots, since that's his strength. But I'm going to make his strength his weakness in this sense, because I'm going to just have him hit me in the forearms a lot and have him hit me in the side a lot. And all that stuff still is very damaging. But what Ali knew was that if he did this over time and he could pitter patter and he could smack George here and there with some shots, that he would really be able to slow him down and he'd really be able to end up winning, because he'd be able to tire him out so much. And you could have probably, just blew George Foreman over with a feather at the end there, because he was so fatigued that he got spun around, and Ali did hit him with some good shots, but it was really nothing all that monumental or astronomical. It was almost like a push. You could almost just like push him over, and you knew he wasn't going to be able to get back up because he was like humiliated, demoralized, too fatigued. Like he probably wasn't even hurt that bad. I'm sure he's hurt, but like it probably wasn't really that bad. I mean, Ali did nail him with a really good shot, at least one really good shot. But what I want to talk about a little bit, but even leading up to that, was Ali's ability to defeat you before you got in the ring. So, and this is amazing. And a lot of people do this. You see this on Shark Tank. Like they'll do this on Shark Tank. They devalue your product. They devalue your brand. And they're like, why do you have that high of an evaluation? Like you shouldn't think that highly of yourself. Right. And so Ali would do that with everybody he fought. He would like devalue you. He would bring in like his interpretation of what really happened, which would be a little bit different than the actual facts, but it would be factual enough to where people would be like, So what he said about Foreman was, he said, look at George Foreman. He's like, people think he's a powerful fighter, but I haven't seen him knock out anybody. I haven't seen him knock out any. And they were like, what are you talking about? You haven't seen him knock out anybody. He's got, at that point, he had like 30 or 40 knockouts or something, or 30 knockouts or something like that. They're like, you're crazy, Ali. What are you talking about? He's like, I mean, like knocked out. Like these are technical knockouts. He's like, anybody can do that. He's like, when I knock out somebody, they're out. They ain't getting up. Like they're out. You count them out for 10, 15 seconds. He's like, they're done. He's like, these other guys that Ali's knocking out, like what he did to Joe Frazier. It's like Joe Frazier kept getting back up. He's like, so how bad could it really be? How hard could it really be punching? And so to take the audience that, because there's probably a lot of people that want to see Ali get his ass kicked. I don't think he eluded the draft or chose not to go into the war, or however you want to put it, at that time just yet. So there wasn't that many people hating on him for that. But, you know, it was like the 60s or 70s and people hated on him because of his skin color. And George Foreman is also black as well. But I think, you know, they're trying to, I think people didn't like the fact that Ali ran his mouth. And I think they wanted to see him get his ass kicked finally against some of the opponents that he went against. But when he said that about Foreman, I think he really flipped the audience, and they're probably like, yeah, you know what? They're kind of right. Like Foreman's kind of a bully, you know, and he's probably not as tough as everyone says. And then he also said, the other thing he did is he was talked about how unathletic George Foreman was. He's like, you know what I'm going to call him? He goes, I'm going to call him the mummy. He's like, because he moves around like a mummy. His arms are out. He's all stiff like he's wrapped up. And he's like, what is he going to do? He's going to come at me and lunge with these punches. Boom, boom, boom. And he made it like comical, you know. Meanwhile, you know, you're thinking George Foreman's going to be like foaming at the mouth and he's going to like absolutely kill him. And he just diffused all that. He like burst his bubble before he ever got into the ring. And he really brought a lot of that down. But imagine shifting that many people in your favor, and it's in Africa, and Ali knew how to get attention from everybody. He's the first guy of his kind. I mean, there'll never be anybody like him ever again. That guy knew how to get the attention of a camera. That guy knew. I mean, he invented fight camps. I mean, he's revolutionary in so many different ways. There's videos of him, you know, having he had a like kind of like a quote unquote vacation home that was a place that he would go to and train. And then he'd bring in other boxers, and the other boxers could live there. This was like a real training ground. But then he would have horses and ponies and stuff, so the people can bring their family, and the kids could like, you know, ride the horses and stuff as well. So, you know, if there's anybody that I'd want to see, it would be Muhammad Ali. But it's like, it's so much more about, you know, kind of all the other stuff that he brought to the table. And it wasn't necessarily like, wasn't necessarily just what he was able to do in the ring. But we'll never find another guy to be able to talk anything like that. I think other guys try. I think McGregor and some of these guys, I think they try. But McGregor's been pretty successful because McGregor has talked himself into being great. He's talked himself into being, one of the best. And Ali certainly did that, and I always admired that. And then to back it up, you know, that's the thing, is like any of us can like talk trash, you know, but to be able to back it up, and then, you know, to be able to be the fighter that he was, that would be the one guy that I would love to, I'd love to get an opportunity to see.
Sick, man. That was great. Yeah. In my opinion, yeah, it would be Ali back in the day, because, you know, I didn't get to watch Michael Jordan like in person, but I got to see him on TV. I got to experience that. So if it's not Ali, it would be Jordan. And I was going to say Mike Tyson, but like if I go watch him in his prime, I'll hang out for like 5 minutes and the fight's over. So
yeah, and he might fight again. I heard he might fight Shannon Briggs coming up.
Dude, that training footage looks really good. I mean, it's like people had sent it to me and they're just like, oh my God, did you see this? I'm like, it's Mike Tyson. What do you expect? You know, it's not going to get better than that.
Another thing about Ali that I thought was really funny is like how he came to all the press conferences, like prepared with these like funny sayings and speeches and poems. And this is a black guy in the 70s going to like Harvard and Yale to do speeches, and he's got like the shortest speech or poem like on record. He said like me, we, I don't know what the meaning of it was. No one else does, but that's all he said. You know, he's just a legend in so many different ways, and to do it at that time. I mean, you know, guys like Martin Luther King are getting like assassinated, and there's riots in the street. Like it just doesn't make any sense. And my understanding too is that he was in the line of fire as well. Like I heard that he was going to get assassinated. I think along the same lines with the same people that got Malcolm X or something like that. Just something I heard. I don't know if it's true, but like I would imagine that would be true because like just how out there he was. But my favorite thing is when he talks about, I think it's when he talks about training for Foreman. And he talks about how he's training different. Do you remember that speech? Do you remember what he says in that one?
No, I don't remember now.
He says, he goes, I've been chopping down trees. And they're like, what? He's like, he goes, that's right. He's like, I've been chopping down trees. I tussled with an alligator. I wrestled with a whale. Handcuffed lightning through thunder in jail. And he's just like going on. And everyone's like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, I remember.
Last week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so bad I make medicine sick. All that stuff. It's like unbelievable. It's like, what the hell? Like, guys writing poetry and kicking people's asses. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, that quote's been used in so many motivational videos and stuff. So I'm pretty sure everybody listening has definitely heard a version of it. So that. Dude, yeah, like I said,
hospitalized a brick. No one's even ever said that in like hip hop. Like that's like next level. He was actually kind of rapping almost back then.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out today's episode. Let us know, whether it be Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, let us know who is the one athlete that if you had the opportunity to watch them in their prime, maybe even like down to like the exact, whether it be fight, Jordan versus the Knicks, Jordan versus Charles Barkley in the finals, whatever it may be. Damn, that would be really good too. I was just thinking like him and then, against the Magic too, back when Penny Hardaway was getting better. Oh my gosh.
My uncle got a chance to see Charles Barkley and he saw Jordan and Charles Barkley. He got to see both guys play. And he said he was really more mesmerized by Barkley just because like Barkley was so big. And the way that he could move, he's like, it just didn't make any sense, man. He was amazing.
Yeah, I saw Barkley in person, and oddly enough, the one thing I remember the most was before the game, Dan Marley was hitting jumpers from half court, hitting nothing but net consistently. Dan Marley was a savage, dude. He was so good from behind the line.
Why do you have such a tan?
Well, living in Phoenix, playing for the Suns.
He was like when he was like guarding Jordan, like on that Last Dance, he's like orange.
Well, think about it. If you're going to be guarding the best player ever, are you going to not come in looking jacked and tan? You're probably going to go get your hair done. You're going to get the tan going. You're going to probably get a good pump before you head out onto the court because you're like, dude, everyone's going to be watching me guard Jordan. I got to look good for this.
Next episode, I think I should answer the question of how I got the name Smelly.
Sounds good to me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, please hit us up at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on Twitter. Hit us with your Saturday school questions. And if you have any questions for me personally, it's at I am Andrew Z. Mark Bell, where are you at?
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch y'all later.
Go.